Hello, hello, testing to see if this is working, waiting to see if it actually appears as a live stream. I don't quite see it yet, waiting to see if anyone actually is able to view this. Looks like there are some viewers here, but I can't quite see the chat. So I'm going to take a moment to see if I can actually find out where the chat is. If someone could type something in so I could see where the pop-ups actually come in before we continue with today's briefing. I'd like to do these daily, but I'm unsure whether or not I'll have the ability and the time to continue with these daily. But hopefully we'll be able to at least garner some interest and help out a few people as we go along with this process. So I can see that people are coming in. Okay, so I see a good handful of people. It looks like you can see me as well. It doesn't seem to be popping up on my phone, interestingly enough. So because it's not popping up my phone, I won't be able to see the comments in real time. I'll have to check them out regularly. Okay, sharing the video to the Facebook group as well. Doing a live briefing on how to address the hotel quarantine and get extended family applications approved. Okay, so posting that here. Okay, seeing a number of people here. In the chat, I see two people I'd like to mention. Our newest teammate, Sydney, who have yet to come up with the title. So today she shall be the Chief Chat Box Officer. And our Director of Operations, Sean, is here. Good. Now I can see it pop up on my iPhone. So therefore I can actually monitor live. Okay. So I want to test some technical aspects first. I'm wondering whether or not sharing through Zoom a video will work. So please let me know if audio actually works as I share a video. So I'm going to pop on my video program. So hopefully you guys will be able to see that I'm sharing a video screen. This is a video that my partner made today to kind of launch our campaign, Hope for a Post-COVID World. So second thing I want to see if it works is I'm actually going to hit play and see if the audio goes through. So let me know. Okay, so you see the video. Does the audio run? Waiting for someone to write in the chat that the audio is running. Did anyone hear anything? Did it actually run the audio? No audio. Okay, fantastic. I'll have to figure that out sometime later, and then I'll figure that out. Okay, for those of us who have just kind of joined the face of advocacy, when we began, our motto was, we are not asking for open borders, we are just asking to be together. And that allowed us to successfully petition the government to develop what is now known as the extended family and compassionate exemptions to the COVID-19 pandemic, travel restrictions. Because we're in a different stage right now, there are vaccinations and the borders are taking different steps of opening, we are now focusing on hope for a post-pandemic world. And that'll be our mission statement moving forward. Many people have joined our group in the past little while and aren't aware of the success that we had and aren't really aware of how we work. The basic idea is that the face of advocacy will be lobbying the government regularly to enact certain changes. In this case, on Thursday, a few days ago, the government published a report by independent scientists that they commissioned to look into how the borders can work better moving forward. Of those recommendations, they suggested no quarantine hotels. Those who are fully vaccinated will not need to quarantine, and those partially vaccinated or not unvaccinated will have to quarantine depending on the status of their entry exam. Those who are partially vaccinated will need to have quarantine if they have a positive test on arrival. And then those who are not vaccinated will have to go through essentially what we've had before. Of note, it says that there should be no hotel quarantines, which is something the Faces of Advocacy have been pressing for quite some time, which is why we have issued a charter challenge. So that's a legal challenge against the government of Canada to say that the hotel quarantine should not have ever existed. All of this is saying that we have a very clear goal right now. We want the government to please accept the recommendations that were suggested by a panel of experts that they chose. And because of that, we feel the best way to do that is in our push right now to get letters out to our government officials, both provincial and federal, in order to see, okay, there's interest in this, we should be following that. I have a strong suspicion that if we do nothing, this will take a couple of months for this to work. So we don't want to wait a couple more months. We want action now, and we need to push for it. That's why we need to send letters. Now, I'm sure a number of you guys already know how to send letters properly. Irrespective of that, I thought it'd be helpful during this video to actually show you guys how to use the one-click method of sending the email. Our Director of Public Relations set up this one-click method. And so I'm going to do a share screen again. Sharing the screen here, and now you should see my browser. The browser is at our regular Facebook page, the Faces of Advocacy. So when you share the link with people, you'll typically be sharing a post to our page, our Facebook page, and then we'll have links to our one-click advocacy letter. You click on this, tinyurl.com, and then it should open your email. If you're on mobile, it should open your regular iPhone mail app. If you're on Android, I have no idea. If you're on a browser, it should open your email app either on your computer or within the browser, whichever your computer has already established to be the default mail. It'll auto-populate who to send it to, auto-populate a subject heading, and then some information. Now, for those of you joining us, when you write your advocacy letter, make sure to actually read through it so that you agree with it. So in this case, it says postal code here, so type in your postal code. I'm in Toronto, so I type in my postal code. Read through it. Do I agree with this? Do I think that the hotel quarantine should be abolished? Do I think partially vaccinated travelers should have a test on arrival, and if it's negative, they should be out of quarantine, and fully vaccinated travelers should have no pre-departure arrival or any quarantine testing? If I agree with all of that, so I fill in my name. My name is David Poon, put in my phone number, and then I'll put in my postal code. Okay. Now, in addition to that, who should I send this to? Not only the Prime Minister, as well as the Minister, as you've outlined, but also add your local member of Parliament. These are the people who are supposed to take care of you in the Canadian system. So in the Canadian system, we have members of Parliament. Do you not know who your MP is? Okay. Go to the website ourcommons.ca, ourcommons.ca. Ourcommons.ca tells you who your MPs are. So yeah, members of Parliament, click on members of parliaments, and at that point, type in your postal code. So again, I type in my Toronto postal code, and turns out that my member of Parliament is the Honorable Chrystia Freeland. I thought for sure it would have loaded by the time that I said that phrase. Still waiting for it to load. Gonna try that again. Typing in M5G, should be loading, and there she is, the Honorable Chrystia Freeland. So here we have her contact information. You should email her email here. So copy and paste it into your send. And at that point, you're able to actually send your advocacy letter. So since I'm here, I might as well send this one out. So here we go. And because we don't want them to think that we're robots, sometimes I regularly suggest that we change the subject heading. So I'll write from the founder of Faces of Advocacy. All right, so that's how you send the advocacy letter. If the one-click auto-population doesn't work, you'll have to copy and paste it and do it yourself. So that just involves clicking and selecting all the text and then hitting copy. So that's how it works here. I see a question in the chat, and it's a regular one that we get, is what can the non-Canadian partner do to help? Now, a lot of the times, the non-Canadian partner will be maybe more interested than the Canadian partner to do the work. And so follow our social media. So that's at Faces of Advocacy on LinkedIn, Instagram, uh, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Um, that's a big start. Retweet our stuff. You can still send a letter to the member of parliament. They just will end up getting back to you a little bit slower. Use the same postal code that your Canadian family member has. So wherever they are, use that postal code. All right, so that's sending the advocacy letter. It's very important for us to get this done, and we'll be encouraging all of you who are watching this video now to please ask one other person to send the advocacy letter, because without this, we won't have a lot to stand on. So let's review some of the recent news that we've been having. So it looks like the mayor's meeting with Bill Blair went well for our concerns. They have strongly suggested that they want border reopening. So in some way, that would be good for families to reunite. In the event that full border reopenings don't work, our priority is to get family reunification high on the docket. And we'll talk, and that's why our emails are being sent. In addition to something I'll talk about later on. Yesterday, our Minister of Transport, Omar Al-Jabra, was speaking on the fact that there will be changes to the border within a few weeks. But a few weeks in government time could mean months, and we really don't have that time. I myself was at the meeting, asked a question at the Mississauga meeting specifically regarding our issues, and it looks like the discussions are happening, but we want to accelerate that. For that reason, we're pressing forward and hoping to actually get this done before they can delay any further, and that means writing your advocacy letter. So for anyone out there, anyone watching, any of your friends, please follow our social media. That's at Faces of Advocacy, at Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and send the advocacy letter. That's a singular most important thing. So Sean is on the line here too, and what we're doing is we're developing a quick 2-pager policy proposal for the Government of Canada. I've been in contact with Minister Freeland's people in her capacity as the Deputy Prime Minister, and the idea is, even if the border doesn't reopen, if there's going to be a phased step-by-step process for border reopening, families should be at the front of that line. We've argued that since the beginning of the hotel quarantine, that families should be exempt. Right now, it looks like all people, according to this panel, should be exempt from hotel quarantines. And we're saying that if you're going to make that step and you're going to do it piece by piece, get the families up front with that policy. That's the best we can do, and I'm hoping that there's some traction there. In terms of any actual concrete timelines the government have given us, no such thing. So this is not the time for us to let up. We have to keep the pressure on and keep pushing forward. One question is, do you think they'll get rid of the 2-week minimum stay? It's a big problem for many. I have to relook at the document. I don't know if Sean or Sydney or John, you guys know if the 2-week minimum stay is actually in the document, but I don't think it's actually discussed as a 2-week minimum stay. What it does say though, is that the amount of quarantine is reduced, regardless of vaccination status, I think. And as well, that there's no quarantine whatsoever if you're fully vaccinated. So I think the implication there is that if you are fully vaccinated, you will not have to quarantine. If you're partially vaccinated and you're negative, you will not have quarantine. And I think for that reason, it probably will not be combined with the 2-week minimum stay. But because much of what the government has been doing is not necessarily evidence-based, scientific evidence-based, it'll be political. And if they want to continue to discourage travel, one way to do that would be to force every foreign national who comes into Canada to stay for 2 weeks. So I cannot give you an answer for that. So that's the 2-pager policy document we want to go through. Taking a look at one of our previous policy documents, I want to go through what we did for the hotel quarantine a little while ago. We were asked to produce a document for the Public Safety Parliamentary Committee looking into the hotel quarantine. And I just want to give people a better understanding of what we're doing. So we'll go through some of the statistics. So let me go back into the sharing. So we call this the Hotel Quarantine Safety Index. This was a long document produced by our members, our chief triage officer and our director of public affairs, public relations. What we have here is we have the documented evidence of people being poorly treated at hotel quarantine facilities. And then we go into what we feel families should be exempt from. We also go through some data we had from our own internal polling. Sorry, I just see a note here. They can't make people stay. You are free to leave and return to your own country whenever you like. That is true. You can, but it doesn't mean that they'll like it when you try to come back to Canada. So someone here has written, you can leave Canada whenever you want as a foreign national. That's true, but there's also no guarantee that you'll be allowed back into Canada. And we don't want to run the risk of families having prolonged separation because they broke the rules set out. Faces of Advocacy has a policy to not break any rules that are given to us by the government of Canada, despite how much we strongly disagree with them. So just to discuss that point. So there are a number of statistics done here. For terms of the gender distribution of those who filled out our survey, predominantly they were female who filled out our survey for the Faces of Advocacy, 82% female. The majority of people who were responding were from Ontario, which is why we're pushing hard with the Ontario aspect of the advocacy. There were a number of various problems that were brought up from the border restrictions, such as people had to quit their job, people made plans to leave Canada permanently, some people ended up eloping, 5.6% ended a long-term relationship, and it was just a way to show the burden that was happening to families who were separated by the border restrictions. We talk about mental health later on. Here, it shows a distribution of how difficult this economic impact would be because of the hotel quarantine. And we were using the government quote of 2,000 Canadian dollars. Now, I know some people have gotten cheaper amounts from hotels, but the government is listing it as 2,000. So we talk about it as 2,000 as the, and at the very least for a person who is trying to come in, they go, oh, 2,000 bucks, I can't afford that. Like, it's a scary number for a lot of people. So about 44.75% would not be able to reunite with their loved ones or family members due to not being able to afford the cost. And that's half. That's nearly half the number of people, which is really, really difficult. There are a number of families where children are involved. So 41.1% of the respondents to the hotel quarantine survey say that they have children. And then 30, so of that group, of that 41%, luckily, the majority, the 35.75% of those children would not be impacted by the restrictions. I don't mean majority, I'm sorry. The largest grouping, 35.5%. However, that means the rest of the group does have been impacted. The children have been impacted in some measure. The 23.19% responded that the new restrictions completely stops their child or children from seeing their parents. And so that's about a quarter of children. And that's really difficult. You don't want to put people through that. There's a significant burden from the hotel quarantine. And these are things that the government has been aware of since March. We have some examples. Some were anonymous, some were not anonymous, of the challenges that were levied at the hotel quarantine facilities. And a lot of it came down to the fact that you're cramped in a shuttle bus, the places were dirty, one person's phone wasn't working. You can read the whole report if you like. It's on the government website. I'll post a link to it later on. The mental health survey is something that we'll delve into in a different daily briefing. So I'd like to close off before we go into questions by showing you something else, because a lot of you are new to the campaign and are feeling, oh, what real impact do we have? What's the point of doing all of this? And I get it. You feel quite small, you feel quite ignored. And so I want to once again bring up the fact that we were directly responsible for the compassionate exemptions and extended family exemptions to the COVID-19 travel restrictions into Canada. And so